Hey everybody, welcome back for another 8-bit edition of Shoreviewken. Today we're taking a look at a game that's sure to please fans of classic 80s Konami games. It's Wai Wai World 2 for the Nintendo Famicom, which was released in Japan only in 1991, and is the sequel to the original Konami Wai Wai World, which is a great game in its own right, but for a more simple, straightforward, and fun game, I think this one is the way to go. In Wai Wai World 2, your main playable character is Rickle, a robot boy created by Professor Cinnamon from the Twinbee series of games. You're on a quest to save Princess Melora, also from the Twinbee series, who has been kidnapped by a mysterious evil entity and taken to Dracula's castle, which is now floating in space for some reason. But Rickle thankfully isn't alone on his quest. He enlists the help of various other Konami characters like Simon Belmont, Goemon from the Mystical Ninja series, and Bill Riser from the Contra series, as they fight their way through all kinds of stages ripped straight out of Konami's classic gaming series. For the most part, Wai Wai World 2 is a 2D platformer, and it's a pretty solid platformer at that. The controls are very responsive, each stage offers something a little different, and it's very fun to just pick up and play. It's admittedly a little on the easy side, but that can be forgiven. A big draw of this game is the ability to collect power-ups that give you the option of swapping back and forth between various characters that each have their own unique abilities. For example, Simon has his whip, Upa has his rattle that turns enemies into clouds that can be used as platforms, and Bill can fire his gun in 4 different directions. They're all useful in their own way, but Bill is my personal favorite character here. He's especially effective against the game's bosses that take to the air. Overall, the platforming in Wai Wai World 2 is really fun, the stage layouts are great, and it's awesome to have the choice of playing as all of those different characters, but there are also a whole bunch of stages that deviate from the platforming with some other kind of gameplay. For example, there's a Twinbee stage that's comprised of both the classic top-down shooting gameplay as well as a rear-view segment that has more in common with games like Space Harrier, and the more bells and other power-ups you collect, the more bonus points you get that go towards extra lives. There's also a top-down car combat stage that's kind of similar to Bump and Jump, some puzzles to solve, a stage that's awfully reminiscent of a game of Frogger, and a rather lengthy 2-part Gradius section that comes with all of the usual power-ups and 2 boss battles as well. So with the platforming combined with all these other gameplay types, Wai Wai World 2 keeps you from having too much of any one of them, and so it never gets boring, or at least I think so. And no one segment suffers. The platforming stages play like a top-notch platformer, and the shooting stages play like top-notch shooters. In short, it's 8-bit Konami, so it's obviously going to play well and be a lot of fun. The graphics and sound in Wai Wai World 2 are another big selling point for this game, as again, it's a collection of a lot of Konami's more popular series from the 80s, so there are a lot of stages and enemies, for example, taken from Contra, Biomiracle World, and Castlevania, just to name a few, and they're all reworked along with these super deformed characters to make for a much more friendly looking game. I actually liken the overall visual style to Kid Dracula, as they are very similar in appearance and tone. Plus, this is a very colorful and detailed game. One of the better looking games on the Famicom, in fact. There is some flicker and slowdown here and there, but overall this is a great looking game, and the soundtrack is fantastic. Each stage features one or more signature tracks from the game it's taken from, but slightly remixed to fit the more lighthearted tone of the game. It all sounds good, but my favorite track in this game by far is definitely the retooled version of bloody tears and the Castlevania stage. On the whole, Wai Wai World 2 is the total package as far as a good Famicom game goes. Great graphics, amazing sound design, a ton of Konami fan service, and outstanding gameplay make this one of my favorite games in the 8-bit Konami library. So, Wai Wai World 2 is a great game, and it's a shame that it and the original game didn't get releases outside of Japan. I think a lot of people in various other parts of the world would have really enjoyed them. I highly recommend giving it a try, especially if you're a fan of classic 80s Konami. If you go looking for a copy online, prices can kind of be all over the place. Loose carts usually go for between 20 and 40 bucks, while complete copies can go for anywhere from 50 to 80 bucks, but it's far from being an uncommon game, so shop around online and you should be able to come up with a decent deal. Regardless, Wai Wai World 2 is really fun and well worth playing. It'll definitely take you back in time to when Konami was on top of the 8-bit world. Check it out.